Welcome to the Kent County Levy Court Business Meeting for Wednesday, March 27th, 2024. Or excuse me, Tuesday, March 26th, 2024. Tomorrow we'll have our workshop on Wednesday, March 27th, 2024. But today we're having our business meeting in Levy Court Chambers. Before we actually open the meeting, I'll turn over to the County Administrator to explain how those who wish to join us on the phone and or WebEx can do so.
Thank you, Mr. President. This meeting is being held in person at 555 Bay Road, Dover, Delaware, in room 203. We also are making it available via the internet through WebEx. Participants can join us by computer or by phone during the meeting. There will be opportunities for public comment from those attending in person or online. When the President opens a public comment period, those attending the meeting in person may step forward to one of the two podiums and be recognized. If you are joining us online and wish to comment, please press star 3, which will raise your electronic hand. Our operator will identify you and bring you into the meeting. Pressing star 6 will mute and unmute your line. If you're participating online, you will see a hand and microphone icon at the bottom of your screen. We ask that you use those at the appropriate times. We ask our guests to begin public comments by stating your name and address for the record. The county attorney will administer an oath or affirmation to anyone giving testimony during a public hearing. We ask that public comments relate to the subject announced by the President. There is a period for general public comment near the end of the meeting. This meeting is being recorded and will follow all the rules of procedure adopted by the Levy Court as well as Mason's Rules of Order. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, we'll call the meeting to order. I'll ask Commissioner Maston to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, or excuse me, the invocation. Commissioner Hertz, Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Sweeney, moment of silence for our troops and first responders. All rise, please.
Holy One, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussions, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of the community. Amen.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our military, law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, and other first responders who have given their lives in the line of duty. While not first responders, please use this moment of silence to remember those who were working on the Francis Scott Key Bridge early this morning when tragedy struck. As of the beginning of this meeting, there are still road workers missing, and their families deserve our thoughts and prayers. Please remember these individual first responders who died in the line of duty, as well as keeping their families in your thoughts and prayers as they deal with the loss of their loved ones. Patrolman Justin Hare from the New Mexico State Police, Police Officer Jonathan Diller from New York City Police Department, EMT firefighter Drake Adams from the Route 504 Volunteer Fire Department in Olive Hill, Kentucky, and Captain Roy Witt, also from the Route 504 Volunteer Fire Department in Olive Hill, who was transporting the body of EMT firefighter Drake Adams and lost control of his vehicle and died on site. And these are the dangers of what our first responders face every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sweeney. In case you missed a sign on the door, if you have a cell phone, please silence it. Please no eating or drinking in the Levy Court chambers. And if you have a hat on, unless it's part of a uniform, please remove it. Thank you. Ms. Tanaka, can we have a roll call, please, to determine quorum?
Mr. Angel?
Present.
Mr. Hall?
Here.
Mr. Hertz?
Here.
Mrs. Maston?
Present.
Mr. Scott?
Here.
Mr. Sweeney?
Here.
Mr. Pepper?
Here.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 present.
Thank you. Roll call reveals we do have a quorum. All commissioners are present. Need a motion on the adoption of this evening's agenda.
So moved, Mr. President. Second.
Thank you. Motion made by Commissioner Scott, second by Commissioner Angel. Unless there's a question on the motion, roll call, please.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the agenda for this evening has been adopted. First item on the agenda this evening is presentations. We have, first one is Resolution 4035, retirement of Angela F. Short Vinson. Can we have that read into the minutes, please, Ms. Tanaka? Resolution 4032.
Whereas the retirement of Angela F. Short Vinson, an employee of Kent County, State of Delaware, from her duties as administrative assistant in the Department of Community Services, Parks and Recreation Division presents a suitable opportunity for expressing the esteem in which we hold Angela F. Short Vinson as a good and faithful public servant. Therefore, be it resolved that the County of Kent express its warmest appreciation and thanks to Angela F. Short Vinson for the able and loyal manner in which she performed her public duties. Be it further resolved that this resolution be her evidence of a right to the pension provided by the Kent County Employees Retirement Program, and that this resolution be and hereby is incorporated into the official minutes of the March 26th, 2024 meeting of the Kent County Levy Court.
Thank you. This is a resolution, so it needs a motion.
Move to approve Resolution 4032.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Maston on Resolution 4032. Any questions on the motion? If not, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 4032 has been approved by Levy Court. And I understand that Angel is not with us this evening. Okay. Angela, or as we know her as Angel, is not here this evening, so we'll do the presentation of this resolution to her at a later date. Okay, next item is Employee of the Month for April 2024. Can we have that read, Mr. Naka?
Kent County Department heads have selected Alicia F. Young from the Register of Wills office as the April 2024 Employee of the Month. Alicia is the Deputy Register of Wills in the Register of Wills office and started with Kent County in June 2023. Alicia received her law degree from Widener University. She worked as an attorney in the Public Defender's Office and as in-house counsel while in Guam. She moved to Connecticut and served as a clerk in the Superior Court and finally as an attorney for a law firm. Upon moving to Delaware, Alicia began her career with the county. Alicia is responsible for reviewing wills and petitions submitted to open estates for probate. During this process, she is often the referee between the personal representative and the other family members or beneficiaries. She oversees the process from beginning to end, ensuring accuracy of the documents in explaining the overall fiduciary responsibility of the estate process. Alicia has also been key in implementing the new software program for the office in March of this year. She worked diligently with the vendor, verifying account information and details, following the go-live date to occur as scheduled. According to the Chief Deputy Register of Wills, Diane Rager, Alicia has been a true asset to the office with her wealth of knowledge. She makes the public feel at ease as they deal with a very stressful and upsetting time in their lives. She was instrumental during the network intrusion in reproducing all our forms from various outlets so we could keep offering services to the public. She provides impeccable service every single day and is always willing to lend a helping hand. Congratulations, Alicia, on a job well done. And she resides in Commissioner Scott's and Pepper's districts. And the tribute reads, Kent County Levy Court, April 2024, Employee of the Month, Alicia F. Young. On this, the 26th day of March 2024, the Levy Court of Kent County, State of Delaware, does hereby recognize Alicia F. Young, Deputy Register of Wills, Register of Wills Office, for her exceptional initiative, dedication, and conscientiousness in the delivery of services to the citizenry of the county.
Okay, have all the commissioners join me out front. Alicia, you want to come on down? Alicia, well, it's notable that you haven't even been here a year yet, and you're already being recognized as Employee of the Month.
Surprised me too.
Surprised you too. But we certainly do appreciate all the work that you do in the Wills office. It's not always a happy occasion that you deal with customers and people, families that come in. So thank you for representing the county well, and we appreciate you and all the good work that you do. Please keep it up and have a great career here.
Thank you.
Yes, Lisa, thank you very much. And you have a great boss to work under and learn from, so please learn what you can.
I will.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations on a job well done. Keep it up.
Alicia, congratulations. I know the couple of times that I've been down, you always have a bright smile, and I hear nothing but good things, so keep up the good work. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Alicia. I don't know what else to say. She's been fantastic. We're so happy to have her. Thank you.
And Register of Wills, Harold Broad couldn't be here this evening, but I know he's proud of you as well. So thank you.
Alicia, congratulations. That is a tough department to work in because of what you face every day. So we appreciate you and appreciate everything you do for the residents in our county.
Yeah, congratulations. It's nice to see an employee excel so quickly in less than a year. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's a challenging job. Appreciate all you do for the county. Welcome aboard, getting so much done in the first year.
Well, I don't think Diane's very easily impressed. So for her to stand up and say someone's fantastic is not something you're going to see every day. So congratulations and job well done.
Can I get you to say some words?
Sure. I'll just say that when I left Widener, when I graduated law school, I always wanted to be a part of Wills in the States, but I hadn't had an opportunity. Until many years later, here I am back in Delaware. And when I saw the position, I was like, oh, this must be meant to be. And when Lori read the dates, the 26th, of course I knew all day it was the 26th, but my birthday is on July 26th. I got married August 26th. I was sworn into the bar on May 26th, and now here it is March 26th. So it's just my lucky number, my lucky date.
That's got to be your number.
Yeah, but I really do love this job. You're right, I should. I really do love this job. I haven't been able to say that about many jobs, so I'm thankful, and I hope to continue to learn much from you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. So we can get a picture here. Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Congratulations. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. Thank you again. All right.
Yep. Okay. I see a few people have entered the room since I made the announcement before, but please, no cell phones, no eating or drinking, and no caps or hats. Thank you. Okay, this time we'll go right into a public hearing. The first hearing is a petition for conditional use approval. It falls under Commissioner Angel. It's application C-23-11. And this was tabled, so it does need to be lifted off the table in order to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I move to lift our tabled C-2311.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Scott to lift application C-23-11 off the table. If we have a roll call, please, on that.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Application C-23-11 has been removed from the table and ready to proceed. Commissioner Angel.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Kiefer?
Thank you, Commissioner. Just a word before we begin about how the hearing will be conducted. This public hearing is being conducted for the purpose of giving the citizens of the county the opportunity to present testimony on the application before the levy court. Everyone will have an opportunity to speak. All statements will be made from the podium at the front of the room. For the record, please give your name and address. Copies of any written statements or exhibits used during the hearing should be presented for identification and inclusion in the record. For each application before the levy court, the president will introduce the application. The levy court will then receive testimony from all of those in favor. Testimony will then be received from those who may be opposed. After everyone has had an opportunity to speak, the hearing on the application will be closed, and the levy court will take what action it deems appropriate. Levy court's decision will be based upon public hearing testimony given at this meeting and a recommendation submitted to the levy court by the Regional Planning Commission. I would ask that that recommendation be included by reference in the permanent record of this meeting established by the Clerk of the Peace. The public notice of the hearing was published in the March 1st, 2024 edition of the Delaware State News. The application before the levy court tonight, C-2311, is for a commercial recreation facility. It was before the levy court at their January 30th hearing. It was tabled at that time. As we discussed then, this is effectively cleaning up. The property had been used and has been leased by the levy court for a recreation facility. It requires conditional use approval, so this is an effort to clean that up. The Regional Planning Commission at their January 11th meeting did vote to recommend conditional approval of the application. And then finally, in the memo in your packet dated March 21st, we've compiled some conditions for your consideration based on the workshop Levy Court held in February. So again, this comes to you with a recommendation for conditional approval by the Planning Commission. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Ms. Kiefer? Any questions? I see. Thank you. Commissioner Scott?
Ms. Kiefer, I just want to reiterate that the purpose behind this was initially because of it, the way it was zoned. Am I correct?
No, the zoning isn't changing. The use itself within that zoning district is classified as a conditional use, which requires levy court approval, as opposed to a permitted use, which is handled administratively. This is cleaning up the conditional use.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Hertz?
And I want to just make it clear that nothing can be built on that property without coming before us with our approval.
Any improvements have to be approved by the levy court based on the lease you have, yes.
Thank you.
Sweeney?
Thank you, sir. Ms. Kiefer, given that that property has been used for sports and recreation for 20 years, when should we have done this originally?
Before the initial lease was let.
20 years ago.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. As Ms. Kiefer said, this is a public hearing. We'll allow those that wish to come forward to offer testimony to please do so. But when you do, come forward, state your name and your address, and then look to the attorney at the end of the row here to be sworn or affirmed. Now, the next thing, we have several pages of recorded and transcribed testimony that was done both before the Regional Planning Commission and in this room before the Levy Court at least twice. So in order to keep this meeting as short as possible, I'll ask anyone who wants to come forward that has not come forward before to please come forward first. And then those that have been here before and offered testimony, if you have something new to offer, please do that. Now, we're going to limit your testimony to 5 minutes. So when you come forward, we do not need to hear everything that you spoke about before. We've heard it twice. We've read it at least twice. And so at this time, I'll open the public hearing. I'll ask anybody who has not testified previously who would like to say something to please come forward. Anyone like to testify? And like I said, please give us your name, your address, and be sworn or affirmed by the county attorney.
The name is Dan Wiley. I live at 168 Balthasar in Dover.
Mr. Wiley, do you
Delaware.
swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir?
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Please allow me to state several thoughts which hopefully will not run over the 5-minute time limit that you have given me. I do not speak for the entire Verona Woods community, but I think it is safe to say we are all homeowners, taxpayers, voters, and major contributors to the local and county economy. We want to be treated as neighbors with respect, not as outsiders or interlopers. We have invested our life savings in an effort to pursue a portion of the American dream here in Dover, Kent County. I strongly do not want the desires of my neighbors and my family to be placed in conflict with the Dream Youth Sports Project. It is wrong to portray our concerns as polar opposites. And finally, to quote Mr. Hertz's mission statement on the website page of the Commissioners, we want to work together with others with the common goal of making Kent County the best it can be. So now, if Mr. Pepper, our president, would allow me, I would like to ask the board's attorney several questions that pertain to the lease. Or should I direct it to you, Mr. Pepper, as our president?
No, they would have to go through the attorney.
Okay. How is the public notified about important projects that are to be undertaken adjacent to their homes or businesses? What is the process of notification? Public notification.
Of this conditional use application?
Anything, sir.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on that. I think as far as a land use notification process is concerned, I think Ms. Kiefer probably can tell you in more detail about the mailings to neighbors and whatnot. I'm not involved in that at all.
Okay. I don't want to use up my 5 minutes by asking Ms. Kiefer if she would come forward, but perhaps after I finish, some of the questions that I have can be answered in that manner. Is it all right to proceed, Mr. Pepper?
You have about 1 more minute, but if you have any further questions like
I do.
that, no, I mean, this is your time to offer testimony, not to question Levy Court.
Okay, all right. How is the public notified? And was it a legal requirement that a certified letter should be sent to the Verona Woods community advising them about the forthcoming Dream project? Under item J, you can legally define for everyone, that is the attorney or Ms. Kiefer, what is the intent of the language within this section that the entire parcel for public uses which are compatible with and non-disruptive to the adjacent Verona Woods subdivision to release delegating these purposes to the Dream. Who decides what is compatible? Who decides what is disruptive to Verona Woods homeowners? I think we should be able to at least define for ourselves what is disruptive. Mr. President, I'm appreciative that this body has taken under consideration the concerns recited under Section 7, Item C, and especially that portion which focuses on public safety and convenience, minimizing sight, light, and sound disturbances. But I think we can go further to guarantee that the democratic process is complete. I propose that a meeting between our elected representatives on the levy code, Mr. Pepper and Mr. Angel, with Mr. Gunn and selected homeowners on the immediate border of the proposed park, along with our HOA representatives, be held for the purpose of giving Mr. Gunn and these individuals.
Mr. Wiley. I've given you a little bit extra time, but thank you.
I just have 3 more sentences, sir. Just 3 more sentences.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Just 3 more sentences.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time.
I can't give 3 more sentences. That's all, I promise. It's very short. And I just want
Are you speaking for the group?
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Okay. This meeting should be held with our HOA representatives for the purpose of giving Mr. Gunn and these individuals the opportunity to really hear each other and work through to an understanding together. There are still many unresolved issues to settle before trust and a good neighbor relationship can be established. Let's give this project a chance to succeed on all levels before giving your final approval tonight on this very important project.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you for the consideration of extra time.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything additional to offer other than what Mr. Wiley has just stated? Anyone else have anything they'd like to say? Testimony. Do you have anything different to offer? All right, if you have something new, please come forward.
I'm Bonnie Johnston. I live at 459 Laratees.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Good evening. I would like to ask if no matter what happens with this thing, if you would put up a sign that tells people what they can do and not do, like you have at the other parks. No guns, no alcohol. Because I think if a police officer got called out there, they'd say, well, I didn't know. So I think it would be a safety for everybody if you could put that park rule sign out there. And we would like to know, all of us would like to know honestly, are there any other parcels in the county that are not listed as a public park We would like to know that. And for the goalpost that he put in, there were no permits, and they're against my backyard, they're against another backyard. And if a neighbor goes and puts their fence in the wrong place, or if they put their shed in the wrong place, they get a fine and they have to move it. So I would like to have those goalposts moved away from our houses. That's where the lights would be, that's where the noise is, and I don't care for that thing against my property. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else with any new information? Sir.
Good evening. My name is Walter Perry. I live at 91 Laertes Drive in Dover, Delaware.
Mr. Perry, do you swear or affirm, sir, to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I'd just like to do a quick follow-up, a little related to what the person before me just said, because I've been thinking about it a lot, and I neglected to ask this question in previous hearings. I did ask it to Mr. Angel the other night, but I think it's important that I put it on the floor tonight. So of the various issues that we have discussed in the last 2 or 3 meetings with regard to the property that we're talking about tonight, which includes lighting, hours of operation, adequate parking, noise concerns, trash, and a lot of general issues with regards to safety, even just the injuries on a field, whether, everything from injuries on a field to a gunshot wound, whatever happens on that facility that might be require medical assistance and support. Of all those things, how many of them, given this property that we are discussing, how many of them can be controlled or managed through permits? Lighting, parking, trash, noise, lights, hours of operation, and general safety issues, medical issues. How many of those can or should be addressed through permits?
Well, that's what we're doing tonight, Walt.
Okay. So no other direct answer on that. We're going to discuss it.
Sorry, sir?
So there's no direct answer on that. We're going to discuss it tonight?
Those are on the list of things of what we're going to adopt, if that's okay.
Well, I'm just thinking if this is a county park, I've used county parks, I've been on county parks here, I've used county parks in other locations that I've lived in. It seems like a lot of those things do require permits in other places where I've lived. And that seems to be, kind of goes to the heart of the issue about how did this happen? How could this have happened? Did anybody know about this in advance? It's like, well, they should have had a permit. And I don't think we've heard any direct answers to any of those questions. So that's why I'm asking it directly tonight. But we're just going to talk about it tonight?
Well, I can tell you that in the beginning, when it was soccer, the goalposts they weren't in the ground. You can move them around wherever you needed them. So there was no permit needed for that. So, and we didn't have any issues. And even with the parking, I've told everybody that the parking with soccer was even more so than right now with the Field of Dreams, with the people coming to watch their kids play. So, other than Del Dot, parking on the roads, we don't control the roads in Del Dot, but I believe we do control parking on a retail and business, but I'm not sure about our parks. Is that right, Ms. Kiefer?
The county's zoning ordinance does have minimum parking standards. We've not used them routinely with the county's parks. We certainly do use them with any residential, multifamily residential, commercial uses and such.
our county parks are a lot more condensed. This park, well, is it a park or is it land? Because in the contract it says park, but I'm being told it's county land. It's not a park. So there's a big difference between the two when you look at it.
It's not operated by the county as one of the county's parks.
But is it a park?
It's a commercial recreation facility. That's what it's being approved for, provided it's approved.
I understand. So do we have anything to say about parking then within this facility?
They're not necessarily, for such a facility, there is not a minimum parking standard that tends to be based on square footage of a building or how a building is used.
Is that something we should put on our to look at list to check out?
We can.
Okay.
The levy court could also include some provisions regarding parking in a condition of approval.
Okay. Does that help, Walt?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anyone else like to offer something new? Anyone else would like to offer something new?
My name is Antonio Goncalves. I live at 102 Polonius Lane, Dover.
Sir, do you swear
Kent
or
County?
affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. I
Thank you.
plan on more stating
Sir,
and
could you
asking questions, but
Sir,
my concern, I'm
could you
sorry.
spell your last name for me, please?
Goncalves, Goncalves. My concern is also with parking, but mine is that the road has solid white lines on the side, and in most places that I've lived, we cross over a white line, a solid white line. You're in violation of some traffic rule. If you pass somebody on a solid white line, you get 4 points on your license. There should be some restrictions because of that white line for parking. I also like to know inside the parking facility they're going to have, are there going to be plans that state how many spots are going to be available for parking inside, handicap parking, or even a facility for a police officer to park his car? Are there any plans to show us and your levy court what's going on inside the park? And what are the future plans other than constructions of buildings that have already been up? Well, not buildings, but has everything been permitted for the posts and everything else? Everything just happens and then now you make a decision to change the rules because they've already broken the rules. So I'd like to know what the plan is for that. And the parking is, to me, is the main thing, and that's crossing over a solid white line. That means no parking in my book.
Sir?
Yes?
Solid white line in Delaware on the outside edges of the road.
Right.
Just are reflectorized so people can see where the edge of the road is. Has nothing to do with parking.
So that's the edge of the road. So the
That's
grass
the
is-
edge of the road, that's
But they
all I
park the
refer to.
road, the cars on the grass, so that's not the road. They're parked illegally in my book, but somebody has to make a decision.
But that,
And maybe
that
the-
would be up to DelDOT.
So if we go and petition
Make that
DelDOT
decision.
to put no parking signs there, it'd be fine?
If
Other than-
DelDOT so desires to put no parking signs there, it's something that they would decide.
That would be the best thing, I think, for everybody. Then they would have to accommodate parking inside their complex, and which probably be a lot safer for everybody. Anyway, that's my concern, and I'm sure it's shared by everybody else at Emerald Woods.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? Mark, do we have anyone on the phone in opposition?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in opposition to this application, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. I see no hands raised at this time, Mr. President.
Thank you. We're doing something a little different tonight since you folks have been here several times now, and we allowed the opposition to speak first because there are more of you, I think. So if anyone here is in favor of this facility or this conditional use, please come forward at this time. Is anyone here in favor? Please come forward. And Mr. Gunn, I would say the same to you that I said to them. If you have anything new to offer, please offer anything new. Don't rehash what we've talked about in the past, please. And we'll limit you to 5 minutes as well. Thank you.
Name and address, please, sir.
Lamar Gunn, 1971 Windswept Drive.
Mr. Gunn, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Something new for the Levy Court. For one, I appreciate everyone's time, and I do appreciate the residents of Verona Woods. Although it's not to my liking what has unified them and brought them together. Anytime a community can come together, hey, it's a great cause. To clear up a couple of things for the community, I think if I had been allowed to go first, because we said those in favor would go first, I probably could have saved them a lot of headache. To clear things up, I don't know who spread the rumor that we were building a 5,000 seat stadium and these other things. That's not what we're doing. Simply looking to make the place safer for kids and make it less of an inconvenience for you. I've had 2 meetings scheduled with the residents of Verona Woods where both of them were canceled at the last minute for me to come out and speak to them. So I have my phone number. I've tried multiple times to sit down, and Mr. Wiley, I would love to speak to you. Those were great remarks. But at the end of the day, I understand that people's emotions are high and they're really because of things that aren't accurate. And also, just as government, or as a government agency, of course you can't act arbitrarily or capriciously. We have to do what's right. It's always a good time to do what's right. And in this case, we're helping thousands of kids in Kent County recreate and play on a field safely. We had the property leased for 806 days. Now we want to change the use. We had no complaints up until a sign was placed out in front of the field granting public notice. None. All right? 15 years. 806 days as of today. January 11th, 2022 to today is 806 days. None of the properties along the backside of the field have been sold before we had the property lease. But before that, as you all have stated, CDSA parking was 100 times worse than what we have. 99% of our events have been contained within the parking spots, which means we're nowhere near the size of CDSA. All right? One night, we had parking along the road. One out of the hundreds of nights or days that CDSA had the facility. As far as the goalposts are concerned, they're mobile. They fall into sleeves. I haven't even set them yet, right? They're mobile. They go into a sleeve, they come out, but it takes a forklift to do it, right? But we play tackle football, something that the county does not offer, right? Very first year, we've won 3 championships. We've had hundreds of kids participate. We've taken kids to Texas, and we didn't ask you for money to do it, unlike other groups in the county. I paid for it, right? Giving kids from this area an opportunity to go out and have fun. Now, I've spent well over $200,000 to this point, helping you do what you all swore to do, make this a better place for all, and that includes the kids. So don't forget the kids, all right? Don't forget the kids and the reason why the park is there, all right? So with that, I appreciate everything that the county has done to support that mission, to provide an opportunity for all kids. And I still, even today, stand ready to work with the residents of Verona Woods. I want to be neighborly and I want them to be happy. But if we set up a meeting, it'd be nice to stick to it. Just one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gunn. Anyone else in the audience here in favor? Are you in favor now, sir? I thought you changed your mind on us. Mark, do we have anyone online that's in favor?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor of this application, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. Still no hands raised online, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any comments before we close the public hearing? Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, sir. I just want to be clear. If this had come before us 20 years ago when CDSA was there, we would be doing the same exact thing we're going to do tonight. We would be addressing the community. Verona Woods would not have been there, but we would be addressing how CDSA can use the property. Now we're 20 years past that. We're getting an opportunity to impact your lives and the lives of the kids that Mr. Gunn was talking about. But we still have to do this. It still has to be rezoned to be able to use. We're not going to not do this, but we can impose, some restrictions on him to minimize the impact on you. And they're not all going to go away. We can certainly help try to make most of them go away.
Mr. Angel.
2 questions real quick. One is, before you close it, Mr. President, are we going to have a discussion before you close it or after you close it amongst us on conditions?
That's what we're doing right now.
Okay. The other question is, I guess this is a legal question for our counselor. What's being talked about tonight on the conditions, Mr. Lyson, do any of the conditions that are being brought forth violate the county's use of the parcel?
Are you referring to the county's lease with the Dream Association?
Yes, sir.
The conditions that I've heard discussed in the various meetings are all consistent with the terms of the lease from 2022.
And because this is a conditional use, we can only talk about the conditional use, not other issues that are associated with this or problems, correct?
This is a conditional use application.
Okay. Just want to make sure everybody's on, it's transparent and everybody knows, and even us, we'll be reminded that that's all we can talk about, because it is a legal document.
No, sir. We're past that point. We're moving on.
Mr. Angel, I would like to ask a question if possible.
Dan, that is a totally different issue that we're talking about conditional use. Okay, so afterwards I would be more than happy to sit down with you again and talk to you as I have with everybody here, to be as transparent as we can, but we can only discuss the conditional use of what's coming before us now. And it has been publicized. We've had 3 papers, I believe, or notices, is that correct, Ms. Kiefer? As well as you all have talked among yourselves, and believe me, you've called, and I've gone out and I've listened, and I continue and will always listen. So
But I'm referring to before the signing of the contract of January the 11th, there was no certified communications to any of us at Verona Woods. I never received one. I would like for anybody who lives here to say that they did.
Is he talking about the lease?
I'm sorry? No. Yes.
So if no communications were set forward,
The communication went to, if I remember correctly, it's within 100 yards, Ms. Kiefer, please, of
For public hearings, notice is sent via certified mail to all property owners within 200 feet of the boundary. The property is posted, and we publish in the newspaper.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Frank.
Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, you called me a different name. Franklin Williams, and I'm at 150 Baldessel Drive. He gave me the consent. I just want to add on to what Mr. Gunn had said. Now, initially when I was here, the last court date, I did say I don't want to point fingers at anyone, and I'm not going to do it tonight. But just to add to what he just said when he got up here, yes, there was 2 meetings that was scheduled that we tried to get together, but the residents would like the court to hear their concern instead of Mr. Gunn. So this is why it never took place. And just as well as I informed the court last time I was here, I will make sure all the residents get his proper information, that they can reach out to him, and I did that. So for him to get up here and make it seem like our community don't want to collaborate with him, that's not the case. They wanted their concern to be heard here in the court, not on the sideline.
Sure.
Okay, so I just want to clear that up.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to turn it over to the commissioners to discuss and decide what you want to do on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Things that are in front of us right now, I hope you all have them. Have you seen the conditions that are being put forth? Okay. Mr. President, you mind if I read them in the record?
No, go ahead.
Okay. The hours of operation will be 8 to 9, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 on Saturday, 11 to 5 on Sunday. The second one is, any lighting shall be full cutoff, prevent light leakage onto adjacent properties. Number 3, now I have an issue with this, and I hope we can talk about it after I'm done. Non-sporting events, including but not limited to carnivals, festivals, car shows, shall require a temporary activity permit. I think we need to discuss that one. 4, amplified music is prohibited. 5, trash receptacles shall be installed on the site behind the lock gate and regular removal service secured. 6, the existing buffer along the property line adjacent to Verona Woods shall be augmented. 7, the existing landscape buffer surrounding the property shall remain unless prior approval is granted by Levy Court. There's 2 that's not listed I just want to bring up in front of the commissioners that signs tonight was a great idea. I think we need to follow just like we do all our parks and our properties. We have a sign put in place. Thank you for that. The one thing that also is missing is the use of fireworks. Prohibit fireworks unless it's 4th of July or you have a permit, special events, something that goes through. So I just wanted to make sure the commissioners are well on that one with me. So those are the things that are being proposed tonight for Mr. Gunn's Field of Dreams. And at this time, commissioners, I'll open it up to you all for response.
Mr. Maston.
Vice President Angel, when I look back here on the background information, it says the proposed use of the property is commercial recreation for sports field, which I have no issue with. But I, like you, I have a real heartburn over number 3, where it says non-sporting events limited to carnivals, festivals, and car shows requiring a temporary activity report. I'm not sure that I support them being able to do that if in fact it is supposed to be a sports field, which I think is part of your concern.
Mr. Hertz.
Yeah, I know I'm going to be unpopular. Number 3, I put in there specifically to say it shall require a temporary activity permit, which means we would all have to agree on it, or a majority. You know, if they want to have a car show from 10 to 3 on a Saturday for a fundraiser, why are we to say no?
Mr. Hertz.
Come before us.
It goes into planning to apply. And because I've had that issue with the Afterfly guy, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure we don't have another Afterfly guy here with this. And
well, my thing is, if they want to run a fundraiser like a car show, is that harmful? There's no, really? It would be quieter. They wouldn't have whistles. I just think you shouldn't limit it that much. It wasn't limited in the original contract, and I got all three leases, and all the leases were the same. And now all of a sudden, because the last lease, there's now development there, we want to change the rules of the game. We're not giving him carte blanche on number 3. We're telling him that he has to come get it approved. And that's it. I mean, we deny permits.
Well, I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. The difference is there was no houses there before this contract. So there was nothing to follow as far as what was going on. Now as the issues come before us, we have to deal with it. And we need to make sure that, as Mr. Gunn says, and the people, and I believe I've talked to 14 of the homes that back up to this, and they are in favor of the kids playing. It's just the other things that are going along that they don't care for. So with Mr. Gunn wanting to be good neighbors and they want to be good helpers with the kids being able to have a place to go, I think that would be a great way of compromising.
Well, just remember that they didn't have one complaint until that yellow sign went out 60 days ago. So just remember that. There was no complaint. No complaint.
We didn't get a certified letter either.
But
You should remember that.
the thing is, it's a sports facility. It doesn't say anything about cars or festivals. It's a sports facility. It's on the back of the page, as I was just reminded. So that's what we're doing.
It's commercial recreational.
That's not a sports. That car's not a sport. Festival's not a sport. So that's why I'm saying that.
Well, at our other parks, we allow different events and stuff, and I'm just saying, if he has a fundraiser and it's permitted, it shouldn't be a big deal.
Well, if we're going to do what's in other parks, then we need to do the dusk to dawn. And I don't think that would be fair either because of what's going on. So I'm just trying to keep this level playing what we have in front of us, Paul, Mr. Hertz. So I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I just don't see it that way.
All right, that'll be enough of those comments. Please be respectful. This is the Levy Court, and this Levy Court is part of the entire county. So be respectful to the county, not just to the seat that you're sitting in right now. Thank you.
Let's just make it simple. Let's take a vote on number 3, and if you win, you win, and I'm good with it. Just take a vote.
Need a motion
In
first,
favor of
sir.
number 3 and make it quick and simple instead of sitting here arguing about it.
Well, we need a motion.
We need to finish
You need a
this
motion.
first.
We need to have the discussion. We can take a vote on the parts of it we want to, or we can vote on it as a whole.
Mr. Scott, you have a question?
I have a question, if you could define your signage a little bit better for me.
The signage, the hours of operation, well, all our parks have that. And whatever the rules are that, whatever, I mean, I think like Tidbury's the only one that I can think is just a little bit different, but for the most part, they all have rules and regulations that you follow when you get to the park.
But it's not a park.
In the contract, it states park, that's why I was asking that question. So, but it's county land. So I'm just trying to get a sense of if somebody goes there, it's our land, make sure that there's some rules to follow so everybody can be on the same page in the same book at the same time is what I'm trying to say. Mr. Administrator.
If I can make a suggestion, if the body would make a motion to approve the conditions as presented with the second, then I believe with individual concerns, there could be motions to amend that would either pass or fail. But that seems like the quickest way to get to the end.
I totally agree.
But first, are we sure that we have all the conditions that we want on here?
I'm good with the 7, and and I believe the signage should be out there stating the hours and the park rules, just like every other park. I agree with that.
You can make the motion, you add the fireworks on.
Okay.
And the sign.
Okay. There'll be 9 then. Okay?
So you need to
Questions,
specify what they are.
Okay. So it'll be hours of operation, lighting, the non-sports event, which will be discussed, no amplified music, trash receptacles being secured and removal, existing of a buffer along the property lines between Verona Woods and the Field of Dreams, and existing landscape buffer surrounding the property shall remain as approved by Levy Court. Signs be posted, and no fireworks. Those are 9 items.
Yeah, I thought we had already said no fireworks on there. I don't see it on here, though.
Not on.
But it should be, no fireworks. Yes.
I think what the county administrator said is you're going to make a motion for 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then we're going to vote on it. And then if there's a motion to amend it to add 3, we can vote on that one separately. Right?
To clarify, once the motion is on the floor, the motion can then be amended by a motion, a second, a vote of the body. So the cleanest thing is you have what's in front of you. So if you make a motion to approve as presented, and there's a second, then from that point on, there'll be further motions, either add or delete additional conditions with a vote on each of those motions to amend. And at the end, when you're satisfied, a motion to approve as amended, which will, if passed by the majority, will be adopted.
So the maker of the motion is going to be Commissioner Angel. He just read 9 conditions.
Anyway, I have a question for our legal counsel. In the motion that's been presented in front of me, do I begin with the whole thing, or do I stop after the growth zone overlay district and then go into the 9?
Well, that's up to you. I mean, you know, if your motion has the 9 component parts, there might be a motion to amend to strip one of them out. On the other hand, if you have 8 items, there could be a motion to add an additional item, in which case you vote on the amendment first and work your way back to the underlying motion.
Any further questions?
The questions for Commissioner Angel? Mr. Angel, make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Levy grant conditional approval on application C 23-11, a commercial recreation facility located outside the growth zone overlay district, on the 9 items that were presented tonight.
You need to read them into the record.
All of them?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll be more than happy to. Hours of operation shall be 8 to 9 Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 on Saturday, 5 on Sunday. Lighting shall be cut off, preventing light and properties. Non-sporting events, including but not limited to carnivals and car shows, shall require a temporary activity permit. Prohibited. Trash receptacles shall be installed on the site behind locked gate and regular removal service secured. An existing buffer along the property line adjacent to Verona Woods shall be augmented. The existing landscape buffer surrounding the property shall remain unless prior approval is granted by Levy Court. There shall be a sign stating what's allowed within that vicinity, and no fireworks.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is made by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Hertz. So, Joey, if you have an amendment?
I'd like to amend Vice President Angel's motion by deleting item number 3, which is the non-sporting events, but not limited to carnivals, festivals, and car shows, which shall require a temporary activity permit.
And I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion, amendment, original motion to delete item number 3. A motion and a second. Any questions?
This is a vote on the amendment, correct?
Vote on the amendment, that's what we're right. So, Mr. Naka, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
No.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
You know, we're not limiting Mr. Gunn from having carnivals, car shows, any place else in the county, just not at Lewis Fields. So, yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 nay.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the amendment passed. Any others? Any other motions? Amendments to this.
Mr. President, I make a motion to define the signage of hours of operation for the recreational facility.
Anything else? I'm sorry.
Whatever else we need to put on. I don't know what's on our signs, other facilities. That's why I said
To replicate our other facilities is what you're trying to say.
whatever's, and what's prohibited. No alcohol, no drugs, no whatever.
Is that what's on our other signs?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Are we amending that motion, original motion, with adding the additional information? Or is this,
I interpreted the motion to amend, I'm not sure it's been seconded yet, but I interpreted it to mean.
so Commissioner
hold on
Scott,
a
is that
second.
a motion?
I'll go ahead and second it. I thought it was included in the first.
Well, I believe the amendment would clarify that all of your typical park rules would be posted, including in this case, the hours of operation. That was my interpretation.
Okay. So we got a motion
A second.
and a second. Any discussion on that? None? Then Ms. Naka, can we have another roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
So I probably should have asked the question ahead of time. I mean, I'm going to vote yes on this. However, it's on the property owner to put the signs up, correct? Because this is not a lease with somebody. This is on the property owner. So the Kent County will put these signs up with all this information on it. Yes?
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. The Second Amendment has passed. Any other amendments before we proceed on?
Yes, President Pepper.
Mr. Scott.
I would make a motion. I believe Mr. Gunn has once a year he does with the kids out there for a Father's Day event, if I'm not mistaken. And I make a motion that he be allotted that Father's Day event that he does once a year. Am I correct by saying that, Mr. Gunn?
Well, I mean, he has the opportunity 7 days a week to have events out there. I think that would be included as one of the events.
Well, I don't know, since we took number 3 out, I think it's going to kill any event outside of the recreational use. That's the other problem that we failed to look at, Mr. Pepper.
I didn't know what kind of event it was. I thought you were talking about a sports activity.
I believe that he has a tent event for the kids out there on Father's Day for the children that don't necessarily have fathers, if I'm not mistaken.
Would that be under the permitted, something that should be permitted?
Not anymore since we
Well,
took
that's
that
why I
out.
wanted to keep number
That's
3 in
kinda
there
why we
because
was
of that.
leaving that in there was that we could handle the events on a. I'll wait until you guys are done.
Folks, you're being very disrespectful. And that's extremely disrespectful. Yeah. You know, in most cases, a situation like this, if disrespect continued, we would clear the courtroom here. So please be respectful while we work through this for everyone's behalf. So please be respectful. Thank you. Okay, continue, Mr. Angel.
Just want to remind you that it's a commercial sports
So, yeah, I'm very well aware, Mr.
Okay,
Rangel.
I know.
Very
but
well.
That's why I can't go that route for this.
You're entitled to your vote, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So Commissioner Scott, did you make a
I do make
motion?
that as a motion, yes.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Scott, second by Commissioner Hertz, to allow a Father's Day tenant event at the facility. Any discussion? Mr. Naka, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
No.
Mr. Hall?
No.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
No.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
My vote is no, and Mr. Gunn, understand, there's nothing preventing you from having a Father's Day event anywhere in the county that will allow you to hold it. You don't have to hold it here, so.
Mr. Pepper?
No.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 2 yea, 5 nay.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion did not pass. Any other amendments?
Mr. Naka,
Naka.
who were the votes on that last amendment? Because you said 4-3 and I got 5-2. Okay, thank you.
That's what, okay, thank you. All right, so if there's no other amendments, then we'll go back to the initial motion. And we had a motion and a second on it. So do we need to go back and with amendments? Motion for,
The amendment that passed strikes item 3. So that's where we are. We have a motion that's been
okay,
seconded that consists of 8 conditions by my count.
so,
I would suggest a motion to adopt as amended with a second would be sufficient to conclude the business.
Mr. President, I make a motion to adopt as amended.
Second.
thank you. Motion by Commissioner Scott, second by Commissioner Maston to approve as amended. Any questions? Mr. Naka, thank you.
Mr. Angel?
Thank you for stealing my thunder, but thank you.
State your reasons, ladies and gentlemen.
You hear? State your reasons.
For all reasons stated and the amendment approved.
Mr. Hall?
Yes, per RPC and staff recommendations and the agreed to amendments stated tonight.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes, per RPC recommendations.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes, RPC recommendations.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, RPC, the staff recommendations, and the amended process this evening.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, per the RPC recommended conditional approval with the added conditions, as well as the staff recommendation of approval, and the ability of Levy Court working to minimize the impact of this property and use of this property, no matter who happens to be there.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes, all reasons stated by the previous commissioners, specifically Commissioner Sweeney summed everything up at the end. Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals motion passed by Levy Court.
Mr. President, I'd respectfully request a 5-minute recess to allow chambers to clear.
Yes, sir. At this time, anyone who would like to leave, you have the opportunity to do so, and once those decide to leave, we'll resume the levy court meeting. Thank you, folks, for being here this evening. Okay, we'll come back to order, and that concludes our public hearings for this evening. There's no old business. We'll continue on to new business. Action items from March 19th, 2024 workshop. First item on the agenda falls under Commissioner Hertz.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first one's the septic receiving facility redesign and engineering contract amendment for KCI Technologies in an amount of $103,500 and ARPA funding allocation for $1 million. Does anybody have any questions? I see none. Any public?
No, it's not a public hearing,
Never mind.
so that's your motion. We need a second.
Second.
Okay. What?
Thank you. I thought that was your motion. Oh, go ahead. Make your formal motion.
All right, now I'll make a motion to move to approve amendment to the professional service agreement with KCI Technologies Incorporated, increasing the contract by $103,500 for additional engineering services, and authorize the president of Levy Court to execute the associated documents, and move to approve the use of American Rescue Act ARPA funds in the amount of up to $1 million for the Central Septic Receiving Facility project.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hertz, second by Commissioner Scott. Any questions on that motion? Seeing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angel? Absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals motion's passed. Item number 2, Commissioner Hertz.
The next one is a quick line chemical contract, change order number 1, contract extension and price increase for Greer Industries, estimated at $554,000. Any questions? I see none, so now I move to approve the extension for the quick lime chemical contract with Greer Industries Incorporated at a unit price of $308 per ton for the 1-year period of September 1st, 2024 through August 31st, 2025. Funding shall be operating revenue from the FY25 and FY26 sewer fund budgets, and authorize the president of Levy Court to execute change order number 1.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hertz, second by Commissioner Scott. Any questions? Seeing none, Ms. Tanaka, please.
Mr. Angel? Absent. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals motion passed. The next item, Commissioner Hall, Resolution 4041.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to read Resolution 4041 into the record. Whereas the Kent County Levy Court is facing severe financial challenges for a wide range of reasons, including the unfunded mandate to conduct a countywide reassessment of real property, the looming end of federal COVID relief, a precipitous decline in cyclical revenues like real estate transfer tax, an inflationary environment that has increased the cost of doing business, an increased demand for core services like EMS based on a growing and aging population, and other factors beyond the control of the Levy Court Commissioners. And whereas Kent County is the only Delaware county that does not have a lodging tax, and whereas the Levy Court Commissioners seek to have every possible option in minimizing the tax burden on local residents and businesses. Now therefore, be it resolved that we seek the support of Kent County legislative delegation in adopting the enabling legislation necessary for the Levy Court to impose a lodging tax. Be it further resolved that we support the enabling legislation to be written broadly and to include the entire county to allow this and future levy courts the ability to adopt the requisite local ordinance to best balance the needs of Kent County, the hospitality industry, and other stakeholders.
I second the motion, but I'd like to read response into the record, Mr. Pepper.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So I was the commissioner who brought forward the idea to bring back the lodging tax, as well as writing the enabling legislation for the State General Assembly to consider. I'd like to share my reasons why they can be, and so we can be shared with everybody and the public can hear. The other two counties currently have legislation in Delaware Code Title IX, Chapter 81, subsection 8112, that specifically enables a lodging tax. This legislation directs the tax to only be applied to those establishments that are in unincorporated areas. And that just doesn't work in Kent County, and I'll explain that in a minute. As a dad, when my kids said everyone else is doing it, I would tell them it doesn't work that way. But in this case, the other two counties having the enabling legislation should not exclude Kent County just because the original attempt to do so back in 2019 was so ill-conceived. Subparagraph B of subsection 8112 currently has a description of rescinded, which is what happened back in 2019 when the public outcry over the lodging tax was directed at the Pardee brothers as a false conspiracy theory, and then at Kent County Levy Court because the tax was assigned directly to DE Turf. While we know this was not true, in either case, those of us on Levy Court at the time signed a resolution requesting to have the legislation rescinded, which was adopted by the General Assembly and signed into law by the governor. That actual verbiage of Senate Bill 178 stated that Kent County Levy Court is granted the power to impose by duly enacted ordinance a local lodging tax for any room or rooms in hotel, motel, or tourist home as defined in 30 Delaware Code, subsection 6101, located in Kent County, and an amount no greater than 3%. Senate Bill 178 in 2019 passed the House by a vote of 37-2 in favor, with 2 not voting. That same bill passed the Senate by a vote of 20-0 in favor. So it was overwhelmingly accepted, even flawed as it was, until the resolution to rescind from Kent County Levy Court. A request of the Office of Kent County Tourism revealed there's about 25 hotels in Kent County. Of those 25, only 4 are located in unincorporated areas, which is why we request through this resolution to include all areas in the county. I can only speak from experience, but during my travels before RVing and even now during RVing, I've never requested a list of the taxes that are included as part of the room fee or site. I noticed the tax after I received the bill, and only in the last 16 years I've been in Levy Court have I been more aware of that tax, not negatively, but as a cost of doing business. I don't want it to seem like, people are being disingenuous by comparing this tax and the combination of taxes to Philadelphia, New York, and Baltimore. Kent County is again facing a budget shortfall in our fiscal 2025 budget. We do not expect it to be as extreme as the fiscal 2024 budget shortfall, which required not only transfer of funds from reserve, but also a 20% increase in the property tax rate, an action that was very much opposed by every commissioner, but we found it to be necessary. This coming fiscal year, there's even less of a desire to raise property taxes. So it seems fair to increase property taxes on owners. It seems unfair to increase property taxes on owners in our county 2 years in a row. In 2019, the estimated revenue from lodging tax that was proposed was $1.5 million. I suspect that going into 2024 and 2025, that's going to be considerably higher. I would like to add that the average hotel room in Kent County is between $79 and $160 a night. But during the upcoming NASCAR race in late April, the room rate increases by more than 500% for the few nights around the race. In my years on Levy Court, I've never seen any public objection from any group about this. It's an outrage, but we recognize it as economic income to the businesses and in turn to the governments through taxes. On an average $90 per night hotel room in the Kent County region, the state will add $7.20 per night in the state lodging tax. In the city of Dover, the additional tax for the city of Dover, who just raised theirs from 1.5% to 3%, raises the average lodging tax from $1.35 per night to $3, and adding the 3% county lodging tax will increase the average room lodging tax by only $3 per night. That's why I'm seconding the motion and very much in favor of this, and will also be at the General Assembly to speak in favor at the committees and House and Senate hearings.
Okay, thank you. So there was a motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney to approve Resolution 4041. Any further questions, Commissioner Maston?
Commissioner Sweeney, just one clarification. Isn't this potential being held up for perhaps another bill that Commissioner or Senator Huxtable is planning to? So doesn't this have to go through or fail for this one to go through?
This resolution just says we want that section of code changed.
Understood.
Whether it's done through Senator Hoffner's individual bill or whether Senator Hoffner and Senator Buxton can convince Senator Huxtable to include it as part of his bill, doesn't matter how we get there. But
No, I understand this is just support, but I know that there's another issue there at Lake Hall.
Yep, and I know that his the bill that he is submitting is making sure that people know that water is wet. That's what it comes down to.
Any other questions? If not, then Mr. Naka.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 4041. Lodging tax has been approved by Levy Court this evening. Next item, Commissioner Scott. Excuse me? I don't know. Did someone ask you to come here?
Yes.
Who was that?
No idea. I am the one of the hotel owner here in the hotel. If you have decided.
Sir, I don't know who invited you here. Ma'am.
I am the one of the hotel owner. Yes.
Okay, yeah, at this time, we have a public comment section at the end of the meeting where the public is allowed to speak. This particular item here was not on a public hearing. So if you would like to speak, you would be able to speak at the end of the meeting under public comments. Sir, I can yeah. Yes, sir. At the end of the meeting, you're allowed to speak, but at this time, you're out of order, I'm sorry to say.
Purpose of my stay after you already decided.
Sir, at this time, you're...
You guys change your decision after that when I made a public comment?
At this time, sir, you're out of order. So, out of order, it's not your turn to speak, is what I'm trying to say. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda falls under Commissioner Scott, estimate for sign and plaque.
Director Sippel, do you have anything you want to add before I move forward? I'll move to approve the quote from Kent Signs for the production and installation of a double-sided aluminum road signage and a bronze interior dedication plaque in the amount of $2,900. And approve the quote from IMD4 LLC for the county branded signage design in the amount of $500. Funding shall be contingency resources.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Scott, second by Commissioner Masson. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, Mr. Naka, please.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion passed. Commissioner Maston, next item on the agenda.
I have a housing rehabilitation project change order, plus or minus 25% of base contract number 21-10. This is for unanticipated work items for termite and wood boring beetle treatment, repair or replace damaged framing and flooring in the amount of $7,762.
Second.
Thank you. Motion made by Commissioner Madison, second by Commissioner Scott. Any questions? I don't see any. Commissioner, Ms. Tanaka, please.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals motion passed. That's the end of the workshop action items. Next item on the agenda, Resolution 4037, Commissioner Sweeney.
You ready? Move to approve Resolution 4037, a resolution calling a public hearing upon a proposal to extend Kent County Sewage Disposal District Number 1 Double Run Area Stone Investors Property.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Hertz. Any questions on the motion? Commissioner Hall.
Thanks, Mr. President. Unless I misunderstand it, there's no date listed for the public hearing.
That's next. The introduction is what lists the date, not this.
Oh, it didn't say introduction. All right, never mind. Okay.
Okay. Ms. Tanaka, please.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 4037 has passed. Commissioner Sweeney, you have 4 introductions.
Thank you,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
President. I'll read these without interruption. Introduction of Resolution 4038, Kent County Sewage Disposal District Number 1, Proposed Sewer Extension, Double Run Area Stone Investors Property for public hearing on Tuesday, April 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Introduction of Resolution 4044, a resolution establishing Stone Ridge Garbage Collection District Number 124 for public hearing on Tuesday, April 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Introduction of Resolution 4045, a resolution establishing Knollwood Garbage Collection District Number 191 for public hearing on Tuesday, April 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m. And introduction of Resolution 4046, a resolution establishing Knollwood Streetlight District Number 191 for public hearing on Tuesday, April 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m.
Second.
Thank you. Next up, Commissioner Hertz, Resolution 4039.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 4039, a resolution calling a public hearing upon proposal to extend Kent County Sewage District Number 1, Felton area, Felton Drive-In property.
Second.
Thank you. Motion made by Commissioner Hertz, second by Commissioner Sweeney to approve Resolution 4039. Any questions? If not, Ms. Tanaka, please.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 4039 has been approved by Levy Court. And Commissioner Hertz, you have an introduction, please.
Yeah, I'd like to make an introduction of Resolution 4040, Kent County Sewer District Number 1, Proposed Sewer Extension Double Run Area Stone Investors Property for public hearing on Tuesday, April 9th at 7 p.m.
Second.
That was introduction only. Thank you. All right. Commissioner Angel, you have an introduction.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ordinance LC 2405. Vacation leave accrual rate and credit for prior military service. An ordinance to amend Kent County Code Volume 1 Administrative Legislation, Chapter 868, Personnel Policies, subsection 68022, vacation leave for public hearing on Tuesday, April 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m. sharp.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. You have two introductions.
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolution number 4042, resolution to establish Magnolia State Streetlight District number 190 for a public hearing Tuesday, April the 9th, 7 p.m.
Thank you. Number two.
Introduction of Resolution 4043, a resolution establishing Magnolia Estates Garbage Collecting District number 190 for a public hearing on Tuesday, April 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m.
Thank you. I asked the county administrator and the county attorney, do we have need for executive session this evening?
No.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Angel, I need you to make a motion on item number two.
Move to go into executive session immediately following the committee meetings on workshop on April 2nd, 2024 for a preliminary discussion on site acquisition for publicly funded capital improvement, legal strategy session regarding collective bargaining, or pending or potential litigation and personal matters pursuant to 29 Del Code C10004, B2, 4, and 9.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions on the motion? If not, can we have roll call, please, Mr. Naka?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion passed. Any information items from the commissioners? Any information items? Any public comments? Any public comments online there? Any commissioner comments? Need a motion to adjourn.
So move, Mr. President.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Hertz to adjourn. All in favor, aye? Aye. We are adjourned. We will not be returning.